Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
The way Season 1 of Ahsoka ended for Lars Mikkelsen's Thrawn may have teased onto how the Grand Admiral will factor into Dave Filoni's big upcoming MANDOVERSE culmination movie that was announced at the beginning of this year at Star Wars Celebration. Thrawn's main goal in Ahsoka was to escape this planet of Peridea in this other galaxy and to make his way back to the main Star Wars galaxy that we all know and love, so that he could finally resurrect what was once the Empire and bring Emperor Palpatine's creation back into power. The Ahsoka creator, writer, and showrunner Dave Filoni, who is also directing his own culminating feature film for the Mandoverse, as I had mentioned, even stated that Thrawn was definitely the main villain of the New Republic era, similar to maybe what Darth Vader was and Palpatine for the original trilogy. This immediately caused fans to speculate that he would be in fact the main antagonist of Dave Filoni's upcoming movie, and the finale of Ahsoka only fueled to that theory. This all being said, how did exactly the Ahsoka finale set up for the Mandoverse movie? Season 1 of Ahsoka ended with Grand Admiral Thrawn escaping the planet of Peridea and returning to the main Star Wars galaxy. He took the Great Mothers of Dathomir with him on his journey, and the last viewers saw is that he was actually heading to the witch's home planet of Dathomir, with the cargo hold full of caskets that are likely containing dead stormtroopers, his army. This brief scene indicated that Thrawn will continue his alliance with the Great Mothers in the near future, and will help and to protect them in exchange for their services of their magic. It is also possible that Dathomir will not only be the location of where the Great Mothers will reside as they help Thrawn, but also the location that Thrawn himself will use as a new home base, so to speak, as he rebuilds the Empire. And so, once the New Republic gets word that Thrawn is well and back and in his leagues with the Great Mothers, they will likely want to act quickly to squash them before things really get out of hand. But we've seen already previously before, plenty of times, not only in the Ahsoka show, but also in other areas of the Mandoverse, such as The Mandalorian Season 3, that the New Republic are very hesitant on acting on, well, anything, but especially with Thrawn. However, that will be easier said than done, because Thrawn already has planned out things in his coming reign of terror and power. Because of his alliance with the Great Mothers, Thrawn wouldn't actually have to worry about recruiting an army to aid the Empire. He already has hundreds, if not thousands of stormtroopers that can be resurrected by the Great Mothers into night troopers. As we saw in the finale especially, they're pretty much zombie troopers, what the Black Wing virus was in Legends. It's pretty much now canon. So in a certain sense, he is in possession of an unlimited army. Interestingly enough, this briefly lines up with Thrawn's plans in the 1990s original novel, Heir to the Empire book trilogy, that Filoni is taking inspiration heavily from, as we see. However, instead of using the Night Sisters or the Great Mothers to fuel his army, he instead used cloning technology on Mount Tantus in those Legends novels. Having an unlimited supply of ground forces will undoubtedly give Thrawn the upper hand in the upcoming war, but they still wouldn't be a match for powerful Force users such as a group of Jedi, which are floating around out there. That is where the Great Mothers themselves come into play though, however. Just as Morgan Elsbeth was able to fight off Ahsoka Tano in the Season 1 finale, with the Blade of Talzin, the Great Mothers can conjure up other magical weapons to use against Force users. Especially as seen in the Clone Wars animated show, they can also use their magic to actually physically enhance certain people, just as Mother Talzin did with Savage Opress, Darth Maul's brother. Therefore, it is obvious that Thrawn's decision to ally himself with the Great Mothers was extremely calculated and smart, and it is a decision that, on paper, seems like it will pay off. With that being said, the New Republic and any Jedi that join the fight will have a difficult task in front of them. So how will they eventually actually win? How will Thrawn be defeated? Grand Admiral Thrawn did not appear in any of the sequel trilogy films, so he will have to be defeated at some point in the timeline between the end of the Ahsoka Season 1 finale and the start of The Force Awakens. There's a 30-year gap between there. We're probably closer to 25 years now though, however, thinking about it. However, since he is in possession of so much power, Thrawn, how will he actually be defeated? The key to that is everything is now how the Great Mothers and Dathomir, once they return to their home planet and get everything that they need to set back up, turning it into their new home base, it will be protected by Thrawn and the rest of the Empire at all costs, recruiting all of the Shadow Council, as seen in The Mandalorian Season 3, promptly back to this location probably, instead of having them scattered throughout the galaxy, as we kind of have been seeing throughout the Mandoverse. And so, since the Great Mothers can continuously give Thrawn an army, an unlimited army, resurrecting his troopers, someone will have to try to sneak past the Imperial defenses and actually travel to Dathomir, kill the Great Mothers, and then Thrawn will be on his heels. So to answer that question of how Thrawn will be defeated, the first step to that is defeating the Great Mothers, which would defeat his army, defeating Thrawn, eventually. Perhaps a group of Mandoverse characters like Din Djarin, Grogu, Bo-Katan Kryze, Cobb Vanth, Boba Fett, and even Luke Skywalker can all team up and go on this mission together, just as Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor's band of characters infiltrated the Imperial base on Scarif in Rogue One, a similar ideal to that but with Thrawn on Dathomir. As previously mentioned, defeating the Great Mothers won't be an easy task, but it won't be impossible either. All of the convolved characters will have to do their own part to ensure success, but it will likely be a Force user such as the likes of Grogu or Luke Skywalker that do ultimately defeat the witches, since they are so powerful. And so, after they are ultimately eventually killed off though, the New Republic forces will either have to destroy or capture Thrawn, and the rest of his forces either in a space battle, which would be epic, or a ground siege, or both, depending on where he decides to fall back to with his tactics and antics. The Grand Admiral will likely still have a few tricks up his sleeve though, however, ones that we don't even see quite yet, but the New Republic will obviously be able to emerge victorious in the end, well, at some point. I'd like to also mention that with Thrawn at his age of around anywhere between 70 years old is what is being said, of that's how old he is, like right now during the Ahsoka events and everything, his species, the Chiss, these blue aliens, only live to be around 80 years old, so he only has a solid 10 years left. And as I did also kind of explain in my breakdown video for the Ahsoka finale, it does kind of leave us in two different directions, either with setting things up and playing directly into Dave Filoni's big Mandoverse Star Wars movie, or in a potential Ahsoka Season 2. What would you guys rather see? Would you rather see an Ahsoka Season 2 before having Dave Filoni's Star Wars Mandoverse movie, or after his Mandoverse movie? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and everything else that we've discussed in today's video in the comment section down below. I quickly want to also mention that we have our merch store up and running. It's linked in the description down below. Go check it out. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you as always. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.